This webinar that we're going to be doing today is going to be all about different types of transitional techniques that you can use if you're someone that DJs or performs with Ableton Live. So for those of you that are already familiar with working with Ableton, you might end up seeing a few new tricks that you can add to your own little bag of tricks for your next set. And for those of you that are just kind of testing the waters with Ableton right now, this is going to give you a lot of insight into the possibilities of working with Ableton. And maybe down the road, if you're ready to start doing some performing, you might find that Ableton might be a good platform for you to work with when it's time for you to perform. So notice I said DJing and live performance. Ableton kind of blurs those lines a lot. So there's times where you could use Ableton as a standalone performer, like New Love was saying that he does live looping with his guitar. I know a lot of different performers that work with Ableton with their voice, working with a band, other musicians. And then you can go all the way over to just like a straight DJ route where you're playing songs that you produced, you're playing songs that other people produce, or a combination of all of that stuff above. So what I'm going to be focusing on in this particular webinar is this different techniques that I use to move between songs in my sets in those kind of situations where you're on stage. So some of the techniques I'll be showing you are ones that I use when I'm just doing straight DJ stuff. Some of them are more what I would use if I was backing up one of my artists. Let's say I'm going to be doing a show and I'm playing all the backing tracks and I have a live singer or MC that's going to be performing the stuff live. There's different techniques that I use for all these different scenarios. And the cool thing is, because I do it all in Ableton, things that I might have used when I'm doing my DJ sets kind of find a way of filtering their way into the stuff that I do when I'm backing up my live artists or doing even like live looping and some of that stuff. So a lot of versatile techniques here. I'm excited to show you a few different ideas here, different approaches that I use for working with Ableton. And I hope that some of these ideas inspire you and give you some new tricks to play with. People are usually creatures of habit. You know, you come up with a certain way of doing things and then you stick with it. Sometimes it's good to just kind of open your mind a little bit and just look at things from a completely different perspective and just try it out. Give it a fair shot. Maybe you end up never using it, but maybe because you gave it an open mind and gave it a chance, you end up coming up with a new thing that really becomes part of your whole arsenal when you're on stage. So I'm excited to show you some of these tricks today. Let me go ahead and cruise over to my Ableton window. So I just have a basic performance / DJ set built in here right now. It's got 4 decks, deck A, B, C, and D. And got some basic things like some EQ and other things like that. So the real point of this, though, is I want to show you some of my different techniques that I use for transitioning. So the first one kind of goes against the grain of everything that you would normally know about working with Ableton. Those of you that are already experienced Ableton users are pretty familiar with the fact that Ableton, when you usually go to do sets, you have everything beat matched. We do this process that's called warping that allows us to take a piece of music and analyze it ahead of time, determine its beats per minute, and pop it into the set. That way, if I want to transition between tunes, the things are going to be, they'll already be beat matched for me. It'd be very easy to do crossfades and things like that. So usually when people think of DJ sets, most of the students that I've taught, they were usually coming from that kind of perspective. Taught thousands of people over the years, and a lot of them might be coming from, let's say, like a club background where they go and they hear a lot of house and techno, drum and bass, hip hop, stuff like that. Virtually all of those styles, the majority of the mixing that you hear in there is those beat matched blends where you just have 2 records that are perfectly beat matched in a line and you're slowly crossing the fader to go to the next tune, to the other one. That's a big part of DJing, and that's a beautiful skill to have. But this first technique that I'm going to show you just kind of takes all of that stuff and just throws it all out the window.